I never forget old Joe Saldana, Joey's dad.
Yep.
I don't remember where we were actually. Anyway, he comes up to me and he goes, can I use your car? I'm like, yeah. He goes, come for a run with me. I need to go down the road. I'm like, yeah, okay, no worries. We'll go down the road.
Yeah.
And we're in the car and driving along. He goes, I got to do a bit of debt collecting.
Go on.
Shit, what are we doing here? So I'm going down the road with old Joe Saldana and we pull up at this guy's race shop.
Yep.
And he goes, just wait here. If you hear anything, come in. If you don't, I'll be back in about 15 minutes. And he walks in. And, okay. Wait. Joe walks out with 3 right rear rims. He's got one under his arm, one in each hand, and he's struggling them out. He goes, can we chuck these in the back seat? Yeah. He goes, all right, debt solved.
Holy shit.
And you're doing it, he's in! That's a massive crash, and it's happened immediately! This is amazing! Big shot, and it's lights out, and away we go!
So I earned my keep. There's no doubt about that. And Grooven tyres, always Grooven tyres.
Yep.
That year, Joey ran second at the historical big one, so it was a massive show at Eldora.
Yep.
I did the Pennsylvania swing with them, Williams Grove and Hagerstown, Grandview. Yeah, some pretty cool racetracks.
Yep.
And I got to know Joey, but I never really formed a big relationship or anything like that. And I was thinking more about coming home and trying to race myself because that particular year I was coming back here to run midgets.
Okay.
And I didn't know where that was going to take me. And so I come back here and I was buying parts while I was over there at the same time to get my midget deal going.
Yep.
But as you can probably tell, I was a sprint car guy who could afford a midget.
Yeah.
All right. So being on the road with them was cool. There's some neat guys around it. You got to meet a lot of people. And I never forget old Joe Saldana, Joey's dad.
Yep.
I don't remember where we were actually. Anyway, he comes up to me and he goes, can I use your car? I'm like, yeah. He goes, come for a run with me. I need to go down the road. I'm like, yeah, okay, no worries. We'll go down the road.
Yeah.
And we're in the car and driving along. He goes, I got to do a bit of debt collecting.
Go on.
Shit, what are we doing here? So I'm going down the road with old Joe Saldana and we pull up at this guy's race shop.
Yep.
And he goes, just wait here. If you hear anything, come in. If you don't, I'll be back in about 15 minutes. And he walks in. And, okay. Wait. Joe walks out with 3 right rear rims. He's got one under his arm, one in each hand, and he's struggling them out. He goes, can we chuck these in the back seat? Yeah. He goes, all right, debt solved.
Holy shit. What's happened to Joey, by the way? Because he's kind of gone off the map. I remember him racing for the Balboans for a brief period, and then there's nothing really happened after that. Did he just retire, or?
Yeah, I think, what we're talking about with Brooke, with level of rides.
Yeah.
I think Joey was in that situation.
Yeah.
And his family coming up.
Yeah. Okay.
It's I don't know how these guys do it. I mean, if I race in Sydney, and most of my racing has been within half an hour of my house.
Yep.
These guys are driving 20 hours to race meetings and traveling one to the next and next and next and dragging families along in motorhomes. And, I give them credit for the lifestyle and the way they have to lead it and bring their kids up. And Joey, I think, he had a couple of injuries, if I remember. And the ride levels weren't quite there, and kids were growing up. I think one of his kids now might be racing micros or something like that. I think I've seen something like that around.
Yep.
So, and they also start to think about, like we were talking before about the Madsons. When I'm 40 or 50, what am I going to do? I'm going to make an income, and I can't do this forever.
Yeah.
I, as a person, I'm the opposite.
Yeah.
I went and got my income and learned how to fund my racing. And for me, if racing's too expensive, then I do my job, right? And that's the priority. For those guys, racing is their job.
Yeah.
Without it, there's not an income.
Yeah.
So I've seen, they had welding businesses and the fuel cell business and stuff like that. So I don't know all the ins and outs of all that, but I think they've got themselves some business. I think they do oil tanks and radiators and stuff like that now.
Yeah, right.
And I know from my journey there back then, Joe Senior was a bit savvy with building industrial units and having industrial units.
Okay.
Because the Stealth business used to run out of their industrial units. So the Stealth midget and sprint car business.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, I think you can't do it forever.
No, you can't do it forever. Talking of forever, but you were racing with Johnny and you had that whole incident happen with the Easter Trail and whatnot. Ashton has recently gone into sprint cars, and then you got Lachlan, the other son, that's gone into TCR. Have you actually kept an eye on young Ashton, how he's just hopped into it? Like,
yeah,
on
well,
the sprint car side?
I've never lost track with the Mani family. I've always been, whether it's Justin, who was racing sprint cars himself and won a few races, John Senior, these are lifelong friends basically of mine now. We don't see each other every week or every day, but when you see them, it's like
Every
you've
couple of
always
months.
seen them.
Yeah.
Time's gone past.
And John Junior told me Ashton was putting together the best, iRacing type thing that you've ever seen.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, that's interesting. He's gonna race.
Yeah.
And Lachlan's off with the TCR stuff and doing quite well for himself.
Yeah.
And then John rings me up out of the blue, I don't know, 4 or 5 months ago. You got a motor for sale? I need a motor.
Yeah.
So anyway, we sorted something out. So I actually, sold them a motor to put into Ashton's car.
Yeah.
So I'm watching where he goes right now quite closely because I want to make sure what I've sold them works well.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure he understands it and they learn from it. So after the feature race the other week, two of the first two people over to see me were Ashton and Lachlan.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
What do you know why Lachlan chose different to? Because the whole family's in Speedway, and then he's gone the whole TCR route. I raced him in Formula 4. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
So I just find it intriguing. I mean, I'll eventually get them both on the show, but from your aspect, you're like, why doesn't the both boys race, or is it just John just lets them do whatever they want? And
I don't know. I actually don't know the answer to that. I think whatever tickles one rather than the other.
Yeah.
But you can actually, you got to be good. Don't get me wrong, but I think you can make a career on the blacktop.
Yeah.
Whereas you're never going to make a career in the dirt.
Yeah. Oh, see, I've heard different, and from multiple sources, that in America you can earn monies though. You can earn purses, but here in Australia, especially in Australia, in TAR stuff, there's like 3 supercar drivers that make bank, and the rest just pay their way onto the track.
Or sponsors pay their way,
sponsors,
right?
Yeah.
And then how much are they? I don't want to sound jaded or anything, but if a sponsor gives you $100,000, you put 20 in your pocket and you take 80 to the car.
Yeah.
Right. So you're getting an income somehow.
Yeah.
Right? I've seen Speedway guys do similar things, right?
Yep.
Everybody has to survive.
Yep.
But I think you talk about the US, you can bank winnings, percentage of win and all that sort of stuff. But it doesn't matter which side of the world you're on. If you look at the number of competitors and the number of people who are banking, it's a very, very small percentage.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So you better have some sort of funding to be able to.
How do you find sponsors in Speedway? Do you find it for yourself easy? Oh, I guess it's not easy for anyone, but do you find that there's sponsors around, or are you seeing them like when you're watching the Manise, like Lachlan and that in TCR, there's more sponsors over on the TAR?
What's the sponsor?
Yeah, you're literally, most of the time, you're just a black car with orange on it. You know what I mean?
Look, we have some names on there, but they're family friends.
Okay.
And let me not discredit them. They tip the tin a little bit from time to time. But if I said all my sponsors funded, my entire sponsorship funded 1 or 2 nights a season, that's about where we're at.
Yeah.
There are other teams that do genuinely get good sponsors. They're connected with sports marketers and things like that and pick up good sponsors. But I think the sponsorship versus the cost of going racing is relative. from what I see, blacktop is way more expensive than what I do, right?
It is.
So the value that they get from a sponsor, whilst it's a lot more money, it probably goes just as far
Yeah.
in their racing division, to be honest.
Yeah. As I was saying to you, trying to get you on the podcast ages ago, I was intrigued when I forgot what it was. It must have been like an old Sydney album thing. You were talking about Homebush with your lighting or your job. Can you actually like tell us about that whole experience? Like I'm intrigued by the whole Homebush. You know, when they built the stadium, and what was it like back then?
It was a whole bunch of dirt.
Yeah.
You know, that whole area. I remember back to when that was an abattoir in that area.
Yeah.
And I don't actually remember it being operational because my grandparents were just sort of across Parramatta Road in Lidcombe there. And I remember going past there and you'd see all the empty area as an abattoir, but all the cattle grids and everything else and all fenced off. But when I got involved in that, because I've been in lighting for a long time, and the company I was with was really, really keen to pick up that project.
For the Olympics.
For the Olympics, the Olympic Stadium site. That was the first target.
Yeah.
And I was a bit of a sales rep, you know, a bit technical, and I was working with a contracting firm who won the project. Or they told us they're going to win the project, and we're going, no way, these guys they were pretty tight on money.
Yeah.
And we're like, how are they going to get this massive project? Well, long story short, they won it. And my connection with them dragged me straight in. They're like, can you guys do the lighting design? We're like, well, yes, we can. So we assembled a team, and of which, you know, I was probably semi-junior, but I was the one that knew the contracting firm. And they set up on site, and I remember you used to have to park about 2 kilometres down the road from the actual site.
Yep.
So is it the archery or whatever that's way down the road past the site? So you used to have to drive down and park there, catch a bus, and the bus would take you up to the front of the facility, and then you'd get out, and then you had to get all your credentials signed off, and then there was a bus that used to do a lap on the dirt circuit around the stadium all day, every day.
Yeah, right.
And all the workers would pile in on the buses and get dropped off at their different site sheds and go out into the facility.
Yeah.
And so if you were going to that site, you wrote off the day. Because it was such a rigmarole to get yourself in there.
Yeah.
And then in the end, what happened was the contracting firm, because they're trying to make money out of it, of course.
Yep.
And we're trying to make money out of it. So some days I'd go and spend the day on site doing lighting designs in their site sheds for all the underground roadway, all the corridors and all the bathrooms and all the crappy areas. Yep. Well, I did the lighting design.
Yeah, right.
So if the lighting's bad in those areas,
that's you. Wow.
But yeah, so did that, and then other parts of our team, like we had some very experienced lighting engineers.
Yep.
They did the actual sports lighting and the flood lighting. And there's a funny story. One night, the contractor on the back of the stands, you might remember where it said ANZ or Allianz or not Allianz. I can't remember who's there now.
Yeah,
ANZ.
well, it's gone through so many names.
Yeah.
Was it Core now?
Accor, that's it.
Yeah. Oh, Accor Stadium.
It's a core now, but
So you know where that's written, and above it you see all the concrete steps, the underside of all the steps?
Yeah.
Well, with the contractors, we had to break in there one night, walk up the round ramps, and then drag all these floodlights out, connect into their temporary power.
Yeah, they're temporary power.
Yeah, because they were still running temporary power because of construction site.
Yep.
Because they wanted to light up the underside of those steps so you could see the shadowing of the architecture.
Yeah.
And we're running across the top of that, which is, I don't know, 3-4 stories up of a night, shining lights, while the architects and the engineers down on the ground going, yeah, that's good. No, that way. and then we had to climb the chain link fence with all of our gear and break out of the place again to get out of there.
Holy shit.
But, 20 years ago to what we do now is so different, yet 20 years is not a long time.
No.
If you wouldn't even dream of doing that now on a job site.
Yeah, no, all the things that have changed. Yeah, I know, yeah. My dad even talks about, because he was a tradie on the job sites, and all the different, like, things he said you got to have chained up to, and that. And he goes, we used to just run around on roofs with nothing.
Yeah.
He goes, it wasn't great, but we did it.
Well, there was 3 of us there from my company. We're basically salespeople running around with electrical floodlights plugged in. If we blinded ourselves up there, there's no railing or anything.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah, right.
but really, really good experience. A
Yeah.
project of that size was amazing. That whole area, I was really, it was a really good thing to be part of, and getting into all those buildings, seeing them go from dirt to something. Some of the things along the way with the stadium, they're building it and they're doing a concrete pour, and because timing, the concrete pour was in front of the design.
Yeah, right.
As crazy as that sounds, because the main structure's designed, but then all the fit out pieces come in later, and they design them, basically overlay them on the main structure. And concrete pour's forging ahead, and they go, oh, crap, we need to recess these light fittings into concrete. Or we can't do that.
Holy
All
shit.
right, change the design. What are we going to do? Different ceiling, different light fitting, different everything. So you're redesigning things on the run, and you had to keep on this program with the builders, which I think was Multiplex or something at the time.
Wow. So you're chasing you're chasing the ball when you're doing your design.
Sometimes, yeah.
And you're specifically working on Stadium Australia or whatever it's called.
Yeah. So Stadium Australia. I also had a bit to do with the showground with, I think, 4 or 5 of the buildings there in the showground.
Yep. This is in Homebush again.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And we're different contractors on things like the pool and the athletic centre and stuff like that.
Yep. Yeah, different. So I'm not sure what the name of the building is, but the one that's got the round dome in the end. That was
the arena.
Is that what it is?
I know it used to be Ace Arena, but I
Oh,
don't
yeah.
feel like
Ace,
about it.
anyway,
There's one that's got a round dome in the end. Anyway, that was one contractor.
Yeah.
The swim centre was another contractor. We did a bit of work in there, and then the main stadium was a different contractor again. So without me going into it too much, it's quite layered, our industry. I don't just walk up to you and sell you a light fitting.
Yeah.
I have to sell to you and to you and to him and to somebody else, and then eventually I'll place an order with you, for example. You know, or get an order. So it's a bit of a convoluted pathway.
Yeah. Did you actually go to the Olympics after building all that? You didn't?
I didn't go.
Really?
Didn't give you tickets.
I didn't go.
Didn't go at all? You weren't you just weren't tempted to watch anything or just...
No, actually, I didn't have a lot of interest in it, to be honest. I think I was burnt out.
Okay.
I spent so much time living and eating and breathing that site and everything, and I really didn't care. A friend of mine at the time said his partner was involved in the sailing, and we were doing a bit of mountain bike riding. He goes, there's a few trails around the back of the cliffs there around Taronga, and he said, we'll do some mountain bike riding along there, and we'll watch some of the sailing. And his partner was a commentator for one of the sports channels.
Yep.
And she, so we caught up with her during the day, and we saw a bit of the sailing. And that's the sum total of the Sydney Olympics for me.
Wow.
Want to hear more? Each week we will share the hottest clips from our guest interviews on YouTube. But to hear the full episode, make sure to subscribe or follow us on your favourite podcast platform.